Radio Exterior de España.
English Language Service.
Hello and a warm welcome from Madrid. I'm Justin Coe.
And I'm Alison Hughes. Our studio manager tonight is Miguel Ángel León.
Radio Exterior de España.
Spain's Ebola patient, Teresa Romero, remained in serious but stable condition, with doctors cautiously hopeful that she can recover today. An assistant nurse, the 44-year-old Ms. Romero, contracted Ebola after treating a Spanish missionary who contracted the disease while in West Africa and died at the Madrid hospital last month.
A member of the government committee set up to monitor the case said every hour that Ms. Romero fights the disease gives her more chance of developing an effective immunity response.
Antonio Andreu, the director of Madrid's Carlos III Hospital, where Ms. Romero is being treated, said tests carried out on her on Sunday showed the level of virus had diminished significantly, but he also said that there could be other complications and he would not make any predictions.
15 people considered to have had high-risk contact with Ms. Romero, including her husband and 2 employees at a beauty salon where she went for a waxing, are being monitored at the hospital. None of them have shown any symptoms. Mr. Andreu gave October 27th as the date for a possible all-clear for them.
The medical staff currently treating Ms. Romero will have to be monitored for 21 days, the disease's incubation period.
Meanwhile, the Health Ministry which said Spain had obtained a dose of the experimental Ebola drug ZMapp to treat Ms. Romero, said it actually has ZMAB, an earlier version of the drug.
Centered in the hard-hit West African countries of Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone, the world's worst ever Ebola epidemic has already claimed more than 4,000 lives.
In Liberia, thousands of healthcare workers have gone on strike today to demand better hazard pay, safer conditions, and life insurance benefits. At least 95 healthcare workers have died of Ebola in Liberia. The same number have died in Sierra Leone.
The Caja de Madrid credit card scandal has turned a former International Monetary Fund, or IMF, chief into the target of an investigation that could get him expelled from his party.
The governing Popular Party said that it would investigate the case of the opaque credit cards to its, quote, last consequences. Party sources said they were not ruling out expelling all Popular Party members found to have abused their privileges, which could potentially include former IMF head Rodrigo Rato, a party heavyweight who served as economy minister and deputy prime minister of Spain in the early 2000s.
Most of the 86 executives or board members of the Regional Savings Bank and its follow-up lender, Bankia, caught up in the scandal belong to the center-right party, although there are also Socialist, United Left, and labor union representatives on the list. Revelations about alleged abuse of representation expenses has already triggered a cascade of resignations and dismissals.
You're listening to Radio Exterior de España, the news from Spain.
The main opposition candidate in Bolivia's presidential election conceded defeat to Evo Morales today after the socialist president looked certain to have easily won a 3rd consecutive term in Sunday's presidential election. Evo Morales thanked voters for the latest victory for the Bolivian people.
Agradecemos por este gran apoyo. Muchas gracias, hermanas y hermanos, por este nuevo triunfo del pueblo boliviano.
The presidents of Argentina, Nicaragua, Uruguay, and Venezuela expressed their good wishes to Mr. Morales, a former coca grower who became the country's first indigenous president in 2006. He claimed victory on Sunday evening with exit polls indicating he had secured about 60% of the vote. The polls showed Mr. Morales' movement toward socialism, winning 8 of 9 regions, including Santa Cruz, the country's most affluent region and traditionally the bastion of the opposition. Official results are due later today, with electoral officials blaming technical difficulties for the delays.
Booing Mr. Morales' popularity is his use of trash from a natural gas boom to cut poverty. Well, he also has won plaudits abroad for maintaining fiscal discipline. He nationalized many companies and identified public services as a human right.
Cement magnate Samuel Doria Medina, who appeared to have won around 25% of the vote, blamed his third electoral defeat on former President Jose Quiroga, who entered the contest late and who Mr. Doria Medina said had split the anti-Morales vote.
French economist Jean Tirole has won the 2014 Nobel Prize for Economics for work that has shed light on how governments can tame the big businesses that dominate once public monopolies like railways, highways, and telecommunications.
The Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences, Mr. Tirole had clarified policies about regulating industries dominated by a few powerful firms, especially after a wave of privatizations had created for governments the problem of how to encourage private investments in sectors like healthcare and railways while limiting profits.
Responding to the news from the French city of Toulouse, where he is a professor at the School of Economics, Mr. Tirole says that he was very honored, adding that he thought banking a very hard thing to regulate, and economists and academics needed to do more work on the issue. The Nobel prizes each carry a purse of some $1.1 million. Up to 180,000 people have been displaced by fighting in and around Hit in western Anbar province in Iraq since the city fell to Islamic State militants earlier this month, according to a statement today by the United Nations. As a result of the fighting and airstrikes carried out by the Iraqi government and U.S.-led military coalition, up to 30,000 families, or 180,000 individuals, have fled Hit, which lies 20 kilometers west of Ramadi, according to the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs.
The war in Anbar and its conquest of Mosul have allowed Islamic State to expand its reach from eastern Syria across Sunni parts of Iraq with the goal of establishing a caliphate.
United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon has called on Israel to scrap plans to expand settlements in East Jerusalem, which Palestinians want as the capital of a future state, and urged both sides to return rapidly to peace talks.
I'm very concerned about the recent announcement of plans to advance settlements in East Jerusalem, which are in clear violation of international law.
Israel captured the West Bank, Gaza Strip, and East Jerusalem in the 1967 Middle East War and annexed the city's eastern half in a move not recognized, considered illegal internationally. Palestinians seek to establish statehood in the three territories, while Israel considers Jerusalem its eternal capital.
Ban criticized Israel's latest settlement growth plan after meeting with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Jerusalem as part of a visit to the region a day after Western and Arab nations pledged $5.4 billion at a Cairo conference to help rebuild Gaza.
The densely populated coastal enclave was devastated in the July and August war between Israel and the Palestinians of Gaza.
Earlier this month, Israel announced plans to build 2,600 housing units in the neighborhood of Givat Hamatos on occupied land on the southeast fringes of Jerusalem, close to the Palestinian West Bank city of Bethlehem. The move, which critics said would cut Palestinians off from Jerusalem, forming a ring of Jewish settlements around the southern flank of the city, has already been denounced by the United States and the European Union.
Ban will visit Gaza tomorrow to see firsthand what is required to rehabilitate the densely populated enclave of 1.8 million people, where over 20,000 homes were devastated by Israeli shelling and airstrikes in the July-August conflict. More than 2,100 Palestinians, most of them civilians, were killed in the 50-day conflict, while 67 Israeli soldiers and 6 civilians in Israel also died.
And that's the news. Coming up, Listeners Club, preceded by and followed by the dreaded announcement and edition of the program featuring your letters and emails, of course, along with lots of wonderful schmaltzy music. Radio Exterior de España.
Radio Exterior de España will be eliminating its shortwave broadcasts as of 0 hours Madrid local time on October the 15th.
As of 0 hours Madrid local time, Radio Exterior will be received by means of satellite, internet, and digital terrestrial television, or DTTV, on the following satellites for Europe,
with Astro 1M, orbital position 19.2 degrees east, frequency 11,626.50 megahertz, and vertical polarization.
For South America, with Hispasat 1E, orbital position 30 degrees west, frequency 12,052 megahertz, and vertical polarization.
For North America, with Intelsat Galaxy 23, orbital position 121 degrees west, frequency 4,191.35 megahertz, and vertical polarization.
For Asia and Oceania, with AsiaSat 5, orbital position 100.5 degrees east, frequency 4,000 megahertz, and horizontal polarization.
And for Africa, with Eutelsat 5, orbital position 5 degrees west, frequency 4,000 megahertz, and circular polarization.
Besides reception by satellite with worldwide coverage, the broadcasts can be heard live over the internet on the Radio Exterior website, www.rtve.es/media/radio-exterior.
Our programming will continue being broadcast in Spain over DTTV and the RGE1 multiplex.
These changes mean that Radio Exterior is modernizing its broadcasts as of 0 hours local time in Madrid of the 15th of October, and will offer its programming over satellite, internet, and digital terrestrial television, known as DTTV or DTT.
Today's newspapers. The Barcelona daily La Vanguardia prints a headline that summarizes the main issues addressed in today's papers. Catalonia and the Ebola crisis mark King Felipe's 1st October the 12th national holiday and military review. Yesterday, known in the United States as Columbus Day, is a holiday celebrated in Spain under various names: Día de la Raza, Día de la Hispanidad, and the Fiesta Nacional. The commemoration includes a military review by the Chief of Staff of the Spanish Armed Forces and Head of State, King Felipe, who assumed the throne this past June after his father, Juan Carlos, abdicated. La Vanguardia prints a photograph of Felipe, Queen Letizia, and their young daughters in the royal box during the military parade in Madrid. The paper also prints an aerial photo of the demonstration in Barcelona of Catalans who are opposed to independence and the referendum which the Catalan government has called for November 9th. Tens of thousands of people took part. Spain's Constitutional Court has ordered the referendum to be suspended while it deliberates on its legality, a process that could take years. La Vanguardia writes that Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy says he's willing to talk with Catalan Regional Chief Minister Artur Mas, though he has questioned, quote, who's in control in Catalonia. Mas and the regional Catalan government have said they will decide by Wednesday whether to push ahead with plans for the vote despite the court injunction. Last week, Artur Mas had indicated his willingness to postpone the referendum, but other political forces in favor of independence have pushed ahead with preparations for the vote. El Mundo prints a large photograph of the demonstration in Barcelona with the headline, "Thousands of Catalans ask Artur Mas to listen to them, too." The parties that organized the anti-independence demonstration demand that the regional chief minister, quote, end the nightmare of November 9th. The paper also reports that Prime Minister Rajoy is willing to talk with Mas, but says he, quote, doesn't know who's in charge in Catalonia. The right-wing daily La Razón prints a photograph of King Felipe in full military uniform, the Queen and the young Infanta in the royal box during yesterday's military parade, and runs the caption, Princess of the Armed Forces. It was the first time Felipe and Leticia's daughters attended the event. Beneath the photograph, La Razón writes that Prime Minister Rajoy challenges Artur Mas by saying, I don't know who's in charge in Catalonia. In the article, the paper reports that Rajoy does not rule out a meeting with the Catalan leader. ABC dedicates its cover to a photo of the King, Queen, and Princess Leonor at the parade in Madrid and writes the headline, Day of the National Holiday. Spaniards celebrate their unity. ABC notes that this was the first October 12th commemoration presided by King Felipe and reports the Prime Minister's comments to Artur Mas. El País is the only daily to publish neither a photo of yesterday's demonstration in Barcelona nor the military parade in Madrid presided by the King. It does report Prime Minister Rajoy's comment to the Catalan leader, adding that Rajoy offers to meet with Mas, quote, as long as it is to some purpose. The photograph the paper prints on its front page today is of an office in the JFK airport in New York, USA, where the security agents wear masks as they question an African woman suspected of being infected with the Ebola virus. El País writes, the United States experiences its first contagion of Ebola and reports that the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention has attributed the first contagion of the disease in the country to, quote, a break in protocol at the Dallas hospital where the Ebola patient was recently treated. The patient died and one of the hospital staff attending him has been infected. In Spain, the infected nurse's aide in Madrid, who was the first case of Ebola contagion outside of the 4 West African countries where the disease has killed more than 3,400 people and infected over 7,000, remains in hospital. Both national and regional healthcare officials, as well as the health minister, Ana Mato, have come under heavy criticism for their handling of the Ebola crisis and their treatment of the nurse's aide, Teresa Romero. El País writes that Spanish Foreign Minister José Manuel García Margallo says, quote, we did the right thing in repatriating the Spanish missionaries infected with Ebola. One of the many questions raised by the matter is the readiness of the Spanish hospitals and Carlos III in Madrid in particular, where the missionaries were treated and died, and where the contagion occurred, to respond to the deadly virus. El Mundo writes that the United States attributes the first contagion in a hospital in that country to, quote, human error, and that authorities there are calling for calm as they warn that there will be more cases of contagion. The paper adds that here in Madrid, doctors have succeeded in reducing Teresa Romero's, quote, viral load. La Razón takes the headline, Teresa, 48 decisive hours, and says that tomorrow will be the 14th day since she first detected symptoms of the disease, and if she can overcome them, her chances of survival are much greater. The paper also writes that in the United States, the contagion was a, quote, clear breach of protocol. ABC reports the same.